Hi there, students. In this video I wanted to look at the terms a bookworm and bookish. I guess as bookish is an adjective, bookishly, bookishness. Okay, a bookworm is easy. Firstly, a bookworm is any of these insects that you generally find in books that eat books, like silverfish and things like that. So one of these animals that infests and eats books. But we use this figuratively to talk about somebody who's always reading a book. They've always got their nose in a book. This is a bookworm, somebody who's always reading. Now, I think in many ways bookish is very similar, but bookish has more the idea of somebody who is always reading, always studying. Perhaps they lack social skills as a result of the fact that they're always reading. They're always studying. Notice the bookworm. This talks about somebody who's always reading because they like reading. Somebody who's bookish is probably somebody who's always reading because they're interested, because they want to study, because they want to learn more. That's the idea. Let's see, I think you could have bookish learning, or a bookish approach to things as opposed to a practical approach. So if you had a bookish approach, this is going to be very theoretical, very how the books explain it, whereas a hands-on approach is where you do things that are more practical. You could also actually use this word bookish to talk about the way somebody expresses themselves. So his speech is always very bookish. The way that he expresses his thoughts is very akin to that which one might find in a publication. I hope that sounded bookish. That was the idea, at least. Okay, so bookish is more about studying, yeah? Whereas a bookworm is somebody who's an avid reader. They're always reading. So a bookworm, a bibliophage, a bibliophile, a bibliovore, a book lover, a librophile or a librovore. Okay, so bookish. Somebody who's always who habitually studies, who's habitually reading books, but to gain knowledge. Yeah, bookish, relying on book learning rather than practical experience, or bookish language, very formal language. Okay, you could have a bookish career, perhaps in publishing, related to books, yeah? Or you could have a very bookish view of life, a very academic view of life, rather than something through personal experience, yeah? So if somebody's very bookish, they're studious, they're learned, they're academic, they're intellectual, they're literary, they're scholarly, they're erudite, yeah? They're a bit of a swot as well, yeah? The bookworm is somebody who's read every book under the sun and and will continue to read them. So I think if you've got a bookish image, it gives you the feeling that you're rather unexciting, yeah? Okay, and then the bookworm, a person who is always devoted to reading books, a person who reads a lot, yeah? Bookish, I think maybe if you're bookish, you especially enjoy reading serious books, whereas a bookworm likes books, yeah? They could be thrillers, they could be anything, whereas if you're bookish, this is something more serious, a little bit heavier read. Okay, so A bookish person devoted to study, a bookworm devoted to reading, and I think maybe that's it. I think also the phrase a bookworm is probably more informal than the word bookish. I think a bookworm I'd give 4.5 informality. Use informally, use semi-formally, semi-formal writing. I might not use bookworm in something very formal, whereas bookish I think I would give a 6 informality. Maybe just about use it informally, definitely semi-formally in semi-formal conversation, semi-formal writing, or I would use bookish in something very formal as well. So bookish a little bit more on the formal side. Clearly all of these words come from the word book, which comes from Old English book, from Proto-Germanic box, yeah, box, a book, or various sheets of paper. So bookish, bookishly, bookishness, bookishly. So use it. Somebody who uses book knowledge, somebody who's into books, whereas a bookworm is somebody who's into reading books. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye for now. Bookish, a bookishly bookish bookworm.